over to him. I was like, watch this. And I was like, this guy's like, he's like doing Chevy Chase level
Yes.
physical comedy.
Physical comedy. There's a place for physical comedy, man. Some people don't have a sense of humor, but there's a place for physical comedy, my friend.
As the story dragged on, your head, you could see your head and your eyebrows.
Yes, those big old eyebrows on fleek disappearing. Yes,
that was great. I love it. I love it when WN gives history.
He went history, and I went down. Yes.
Anyways, we'll talk about basketball later on. I'd like to hear you mentioning the running back and like what kind. Okay, so I'll take this off the air. Like, what type of and using all of our great running backs from the past: Garner, Stewart, Hayden, Jamal, Travis, Foster, all those guys. Like, what kind of back would you like to see us get? Like, using one of those guys as a comps. And thanks, guys. Hope you have a great Monday.
Thank you. I want a guy that can catch it and run it. I think Bino would be a perfect back in this offense. Would be like a Charlie Garner. Who do you got, Bino?
Well, I mean, and he was the transfer guy, Alvin Kamara.
Perfect. Be perfect in this offense. You imagine Kamara in this offense? Who do you got, Bri, that comes to mind? AK's a really good one. Really good one, Bino. You and Heupel's razor are on the same. I want a guy that can catch it as well as run it. Catch it, run it. Who do you have, Bri? From Vols of yesteryear.
I would say like a LaMarcus Coker, maybe.
That's not bad. And Coker these days would stay on your team too. Let's do this. I don't have time to be fair to anybody. We'll do a little overtime, just a little bit. I gotta stay fresh for prom tomorrow. We have a big day tomorrow. We got 2 post-game shows and a live program that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing the program out. Once again, before we leave the airwaves, shout out to our friends where we will be tomorrow. We will be live at your Tennessee Tap House. That's at 350 North Peters Road. We'll kick off the festivities leading up to the Playbook with William Pattison, who's on the way next, and then the drive with the great Russell Dub Smith and his merry band of misfits. In the meantime, I want to say I love you. I appreciate you. To the radio listener, it's been an absolute pleasure being with you. Tomorrow, we're going to ring out the new year together. No, that happens on Wednesday, Rice fans. In the meantime, we love you. We appreciate you. Peace on the streets, peace in the Middle East. And the great William Pattison is on the way next.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville and W289CU Knoxville. Fan Run Radio.
And here we go, live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's the Playbook presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you listening along with us on this Monday from Knoxville, Tennessee. Back after the Christmas break, getting ready for the Music City Bowl tomorrow between Tennessee and Illinois. And Nashville will also be on site tomorrow at Tennessee Tap House here in Knoxville. So make sure to show up and come out to that. Watch the game with the Fan Run crew. We'll be beginning live at 11 a.m. with the Tony Basilio Show. We'll follow him up from 1 to 3, and the drive will lead you in to kickoff. And we got a Tennessee doubleheader tomorrow. Tennessee football and basketball in action. Expecting a great crowd. Expecting for it to be a great time tomorrow. So make sure you come and visit us at Tennessee Tap House for the official fan-run Music City Bowl watch party. But over the next 2 hours, we've got a lot to cover, including the latest transfer portal intel for Tennessee. I'll tell you the guys that Tennessee is in on. Tennessee is, in the mix for to keep an eye on, guys like that, because the transfer portal opens up here in just a couple of days. Right now is the time to know who Tennessee might have their eye on. I'll tell you who that is here in a little bit. We'll also talk about who's opting out of the bowl game, who's transferring away from the program and will not be available on Tuesday against the Fighting Illini. I will cover all of that at the top of the hour here. But then we'll move on to the Music City Bowl, more of a focus on that, what to expect, who we're looking to see have a big impact and maybe gain some momentum heading into next year. We'll also have our best bets recap and look ahead as we still have plenty of college football going down over the next couple of days and have had a ton of college football over the last time we joined you. In hour number 2, we'll talk the college football playoff quarterfinals. We'll go through all 4 matchup, preview those, and get ready for Wednesday and Thursday's action on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day in the college football playoff. We'll also take a look at the NFL as the postseason stretch is fully underway. The final week of the season fastly approaching, and some teams' playoff hopes will be in play this weekend. We'll tell you who those teams are. And then we'll wrap it up with our final thoughts as we always do. But before we get into the action, let's welcome in the rest of the crew, beginning with Brett. Brett, how are you on this Monday?
Yeah, doing well. It was a nice break for the Christmas holidays and all that. Now getting ready for New Year's. It was a good break. Saw some family, saw some friends, and did the usual stuff you do over Christmas. So fortunately for me, I wasn't having to be out on the road and doing all that. Everybody's pretty local for me. So stuck around town and it was a good time. The weather was crazy. Being in shorts and a t-shirt, hooping on my brothers on actually Saturday was pretty fun, busted out the basketball. So that was fun, but crazy to be able to do that in Christmas. You don't get that very often.
Yeah.
So did that. Now we got this weather today, just a polar vortex dropping in on us, which is crazy. So, but yeah, doing well, rested and ready to talk about this game.
Yeah. It almost felt like Christmas was not Christmassy this year.
I know. You at least want cold, I guess.
Well, I go back to Memphis for Christmas, and it was 70 degrees there. Honestly, when I left, what was it, Tuesday morning?
Yeah.
It was still around 40 degrees here in Knoxville, and I get up and leave. And by the time I get there, I'm wearing pants and a hoodie.
Yeah.
And by the time I got there, I was like, man, it's 70 degrees. I can't be wearing this anymore. So, but yeah, good Christmas, and it goes by quick, but I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to get back into the groove of the college football season, transfer portal, college basketball.
Popping, man.
So much to cover.
Yeah, the portal's popping.
I knew I had to get back today because I wanted to get one of these in before tomorrow, when obviously there's going to be a lot going on. Excited to meet a lot of you, see a lot of you out there at Tennessee Tap House for the Fan Run Music City Bowl watch party. And we'll be doing really just a deep dive into that game leading up to it, as I know people haven't been overjoyed to play in the Music City Bowl. But hey, if it's game day, people are going to care and people are going to watch the Tennessee Volunteers. So plenty to cover over the next 2 hours. So happy you're here. Let's dive right into the action with our first things first topic, and that is who's in, who's out, and who's on the way for Tennessee football. And we'll begin with who's out, a focus on the opt-outs, as there are 5 Tennessee players that are opting out of the Music City Bowl on Tuesday, including wide receiver Chris Brazzell II, Jeremiah McCoy, Colton Hood, Arian Carter, and Joshua Josephs. So you've got 4 defensive players and 1 offensive player missing tomorrow. I'm sure they'll still be there on the sidelines, but they will not be suiting up and participating in the game. For Brazzell, it's been a awesome season for him. The former Tulane transfer in his second year with the Volunteers really came on strong and made a name for himself, and did everything that you hoped he could be, and a little bit more, because last year was a little bit of a disappointing season. This year he was on the national radar as a Blitnikoff semifinalist and a guy that continued to rack up yards in a very competitive SEC, was one of the best receivers in the SEC, and there were a lot of them this season. I don't blame him at all. A great year for him, and, making the best choice for his career. Jeremiah McCoy, an All-American, preseason All-American, that is, coming into the season, set a lot of expectations for what could be this year if he was able to play after a really impressive 2024 campaign. Unfortunately, we never got to see him don the orange and white this year, as he had an off-season injury and is going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. Didn't want to rush that process back. And though he made a ton of strides to get back on the field, it just never turned out, and unfortunately did not get to see him this year. But three guys we did get to see. One of them was new, and that was Colton Hood, the transfer from Colorado, a guy that at the time when he transferred seemed a little bit like a depth piece, but then turned into a day one to early day two selection in the NFL draft, according to a lot of mocks right now. Colton Hood had a really impressive season, kind of in the same boat as a Brazel, a guy that's supposed to be a top, couple of round pick here in the NFL draft. Don't need to waste, maybe not waste, I should say, but risk an opportunity for injury in the Music City Bowl. He'll be out for this one. Arian Carter, a little bit of a more surprising one, I'll say, because Carter is a team leader on this team, has been a 3-year player for this Volunteers group, and has played a ton of important snaps and has had a ton of important games against Mississippi State and Georgia, back-to-back career-high tackle numbers. A really impressive season for him, but he has also dealt with injury. That turf toe has continued to nag him in the second half of the season. I feel like that is a big role in this. Doesn't want to re-aggravate that as the pro days and off-season for the NFL draft are upcoming as well. And then you got Joshua Joseph. Joseph's is a guy that I think, has kind of always been in a little bit of the background of some other star players for Tennessee. Over the last couple of years, it was in the background of James Pierce Jr. But last season had a strong campaign for the Volunteers, did a great job this year creating pressure, and was one of the leaders of that defensive line after losing a ton of pieces from last year. I thought he did a great job this year. He's going to be an NFL draft guy as well. Doesn't make sense for him to go out and risk injury either. So overall, I understand these guys' decisions. Obviously, I want to see him play another game. And I said a couple of weeks ago, if you're willing to play against New Mexico State in a game where you already know you're not going to make the college football playoff, why not suit it up one more time against Illinois? But, it is what it is. It's what we are in 2025 in the college football world. But which one of these guys is the biggest miss for Tennessee on Tuesday? I go Arian Carter here, because Arian Carter has been the leader of this defense in terms of communication, and the linebackers have been an issue throughout the season. Now, defense in general has been an issue, but that's a main communicator for this defense. And in Tim Banks' system, communication was really, really big. I don't know what the defense is going to look like in this one with Tim Banks no longer in the mix, but I assume a lot of the same stuff you saw this season will be on display in the bowl game. Jim Knowles, the new defense coordinator for Tennessee, not going to be coaching this one, not going to be calling plays for this one. So I anticipate you're still going to have a lot of that communication-based defense, and Arian Carter was a big part of that. So I think defensively, in terms of communication, Carter's a big loss here. That would be my biggest miss for Tennessee on Tuesday. Brett, what do you say out of these five guys?
Colton Hood for me. I was not surprised that he is going to go pro. I was a little surprised maybe that he opted out. I thought maybe he'd give it one more game. He kind of, had a little foreshadowing there with a little video where it looked like he was announcing then, and then it went a couple more days, and he said he was not going to play in the bowl game. So that was a little surprising, but again, you're not, these guys got big futures ahead, and they don't want to risk anything. But the defense as a whole, like you said, has struggled, especially the back end. So it would have been nice to have him at least out there. This game becomes a little more worrisome with the guys you are not going to have out there. So not to have Colton Hood on the back end to at least maybe control the Illini, who are not the most explosive team, but can hurt you in the air in this game. So I'm a little surprised by Colton Hood out of these guys, I think, for me at least.
And, we know the bowl games don't have the same type of pop and pizzazz as they did a couple of years back or, when we were growing up watching these games, but they still are important. And, you want to have as many guys available as possible, but you do have to realize that the college football landscape has changed. So outside of those opt-outs, there are also some guys who are out from the transfer portal. Now, I hate to put it this way, but it's a bunch of scrubs basically, and then Boo Carter and Peyton Lewis of guys that will not be available for this one. Now, obviously, Boo Carter was not with the team following the New Mexico State game, did not show up for that one. Says that it was an injury-related thing, but he's no longer with the program, hasn't been with the program for a while. Peyton Lewis is really only the really only big name that Tennessee will be without in terms of a guy that's had a ton of work on one side of the football. Is he was the backup running back or split time at running back with Star Thomas and Deshaun Bishop this season. Peyton Lewis not going to be available for Tuesday's matchup against Illinois. Outside of, getting ready for this game, though, I do think it's important right now to maybe talk about a couple of guys that could leave as well. Some other bigger names, some guys that have a little bit more to the table than a lot of these depth pieces that have left. And, I projected a week ago or 2 weeks ago that Payne Lewis would be one of the guys that could enter. I just saw him as a guy that continued to get banged up. It had kind of been solidified that Deshaun Bishop was the running back one of this team. And heading into next season, a former 4-star recruit isn't going to want to take a backseat or a second string role at this point in his career, as he's only got a couple of seasons left of college football left to play. So I understood it. But there are also some different variables we have to think about, and one of them is NIL. And I continue to go back to last offseason where you had a couple of players that had some holdouts or threatened to enter the transfer portal due to NIL negotiations. One of them, Nico Yamaliava. The other, Boo Carter. Finally, Mike Matthews. I right now anticipate Mike Matthews could be a guy to enter the portal because there's a likelihood that he's going to ask for a new deal. There's a likelihood that he's going to want to get an upgrade from what he got last offseason. And look, he had a good season. I think all the receivers for Tennessee that started had a good season. But the price tag, I think, varies for how much you want to pay a guy like Mike Matthews versus who you've already got in that room. Radar Jackson, Travis Smith Jr., Joakim Dotson, TK Keys coming over from the high school. I think you are a little bit more comfortable at that wide receiver position as you were last year when you had a lot of depth guys leave, but also had a couple of question marks of, okay, is a Braylon Staley going to be good this year? Or is a Chris Brazzell going to live up to the expectations he had coming out of Tulane a season before? And I think you saw those questions get answered throughout the season, but now you're already going to have one of them returning in Braylon Staley. You're pretty certain that TK Keys is going to have some type of impact for this Tennessee team next year. Radar Jackson and Travis Smith Jr., you might not have seen a whole lot of them this year, but I believe both of them are going to be valuable parts of this room next year. And I think you've got, 5 to 6 receivers that you're pretty comfortable with. And maybe you go add one in the portal, but I don't anticipate Tennessee really going that wide receiver route when you've already got a lot of talented guys in that locker room already. So if there were one guy I anticipate to leave on the offensive side of the ball, it'd be Mike Matthews. On the defensive side of the ball, I would maybe look at a Jordan Ross, a former 5-star edge that I don't think is, played up to expectations of that 5-star name. He's now entering what would be his 3rd season with the Volunteers. Now, it'll only be his 2nd year of eligibility as he redshirted, but I think he could be a possible guy to look at because we know Tennessee's about to put a lot of money in this transfer portal, folks. There are a lot of guys that Tennessee has their eyes on. I'll tell you about him here in a second. But I think he could be one of these former 5-star prospects that it just hasn't worked out, needs a new location, finds, greener grass elsewhere. I could see him as a defensive piece that could possibly enter the portal. Brett, out of the guys that have not yet entered, who do you think could be one of those guys that might not wind up with the Volunteers next season?
I mean, there's really no telling. It could be anybody these days, but you bring up a good point about Mike Matthews, wanting more money, different things like that. And with what you got coming back, maybe you give some of these young guys a shot, and you're going to pay TK Keys, obviously, and things like that. But I'm wondering if, one of these tight ends, a Deshaun Brame or, who didn't get his big run, and you see what, what's his name? Ethan Davis did at the end of this past season. Dorsler was even getting more run than even Davis at times, and Brame. So I'm wondering if Brame, who was a highly recruited player, committed to Oregon, I'm wondering if he kind of looks elsewhere. A guy that could possibly be in, realizing the writing's on the wall there. And maybe one of these offensive linemen. You're returning 5 really strong guys. Possibly you're bringing in a good class of those guys. So maybe there's somebody that is on the offensive line. Maybe not a big name, Bennett Warren or somebody like that. Enters the portal. And then defensively, I kind of look at where you're deepest, and it's kind of the linebacker room. With some highly recruited guys, Jaden Harmon, people like that. With the way we're talking about hitting the portal and different things like that. So you wonder about one of these linebackers and things like that. Even though Knowles is a linebacker guy, he may like some of these guys. So, it's really hard to say anybody, but I know in the past I've also said one of the young wide receivers. I didn't mention Matthews. I said maybe Travis Smith Jr. or Radar Jackson look elsewhere. So it's really going to be interesting here at the end of this week to see what actually unfolds or what could unfold for the Tennessee roster.
We'll now switch to who's on the way, some potential candidates for Tennessee football in the transfer portal. And this is, stuff that I've kind of collected over the last week in anticipation for coming back this week. Some intel of a couple of guys that Tennessee has their eye on. Now, Brennan Sorsby, we all know about him, a Cincinnati quarterback, was very impressive this season for the Bearcats, runs an RPO type system, has those Knoxville ties. He's currently weighing the NFL draft, Texas Tech and Tennessee. The Vols are pretty firm in the mix for the quarterback. Was in town for Christmas, to my understanding, as again, his family lives here in Knoxville. So that isn't a huge deal per se that he was here because his family is here. People go home for the holidays. Don't overread into that. But right now, I think the NFL draft is very much on the table for him because of all of the guys that are not going. Lenora Sellers, Arch Manning, Darian Mensah, some of these other guys that would have been in the mix for a top 5 quarterback in this class. And we know this quarterback class isn't great. You got Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore. We'll see what Ty Simpson does. But I don't really want to throw Simpson in that same category because I've seen a little bit of everything with him over the last couple of months. And then you kind of go down the list, and it's like the guys that you heard all about in the offseason but haven't heard much about since the middle of the year. That's a Drew Aller. That's a Cade Klubnik. That's a Garrett Nussmeier. So it's a very interesting quarterback class, and I think it is a good opportunity for a guy like Brendan Sorsby to possibly enter. Another guy, another quarterback to keep an eye on, and this is Caton Hauser, East Carolina quarterback. He's the number 51 overall player in the portal with an 88 grade. He's a 6'3" senior from Anaheim, California, and he began his career at Michigan State. Total 3,300 yards for 19 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in 2025. And this is a guy that I don't think is going to wow a lot of people, but watching Eastern Carolina a bunch of times this year, whether that's good or bad, this is a capable quarterback. Now, I don't think he is necessarily to the level of a ceiling that you get with Brendan Sorsby or a Sam Levitt or a Josh Hoover, but I do think that he is an intriguing option if Joey Aguilar does not get that extra year of eligibility. You have to go to a portal quarterback. Maybe you don't want to spend the $3 to $4, $5 million that you have to get a Levitt or a Sorsby, and you go with a Caden Hauser. I think Hauser's a solid player. I wouldn't be jumping for joy for him, but in terms of just getting a guy that has experience and is a good thrower of the football, I think you would get that with him. Now, those are guys that I think Tennessee's a little bit closer in on than some of these others, but I'll continue to list them off. And I segmented this in offense and defense, and we're starting with the offense. Some guys to keep an eye on. Hollywood Smothers, NC State running back, number 14 overall player in the portal with a 94 grade, 5'11 sophomore from Charlotte, North Carolina, had 160 carries for 939 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2025. His expected NIL, $750,000 to $1 million. Right now, the top running back in the portal. Now, if Jaden Ball, Florida's running back, entered the portal, I'd expect him to be the number one guy, but Smothers is going to be a top 5 running back in the portal. There is a big debate. Would you like to pay a running back in college football $1 million? I don't love that. Smothers is one of the top guys available, and you're going to have to fill that need anyway because you're losing Peyton Lewis, and I don't think you can go into next year with one guy that's played, more than, gotten like more than 40 carries, and that's Deshaun Bishop. And not saying that like that's all he's had, but like Dwayne Morris and, the other guys in that room haven't had a ton of experience. I think you need that in the SEC, a good yin and yang. And we know that Josh Heupel has always loved to use 3 running backs. Hollywood Smothers, a guy to keep an eye on. Another guy to keep an eye on is a quarterback. This is Anthony Calandria of UNLV. He's the number 84 overall player in the portal with an 87 grade. 6-foot junior from St. Petersburg, Florida. He also spent 2 seasons at Virginia before transferring to the Fighting Dan Mullins in the offseason. Now, Pete Nakos reported this. I haven't heard anything around Anthony Calandria. The intel that I got was Florida State. And Nakos mentioned Florida State as well. I think Florida State's involved in a couple of quarterbacks. Obviously, Tommy Castellanos moving on. I think that's the best for them, by the way. But that's a guy to possibly keep an eye on at Florida State. But Nakos is also saying that Tennessee could be involved in this as well. 3,459 yards, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in 2025, was also the Mountain West Player of the Year. So that's the offensive side of the football. Before we get into the defense, Brett, any names that stick out right there to you? Any interest in these guys from you?
A lot of them. I think it's interesting, the Hollywood Smothers name, because, we've talked about before we went on break, how we thought we could just fill in a piece there to get back up like a Deshaun Bishop. But it's kind of exciting if that's a name that's being rumored out there. I've always wanted to see this offense and we've seen our offense with really good running backs, Jalen Wright and Dylan Sampson, who are playing on Sundays, who are really good, offensive player of the year in this conference under Heupel. Our offense runs a lot through those guys, and it'd be exciting to see one of them back there, running the ball. And the running back class is for the portal right now is pretty deep. We had the guy from North Texas enter, and
Caleb Hawkins.
I think the Texas guy entered.
You got a couple of Trey Wisner,
Texas guys.
Yeah, Trey Wisner, C.J. Baxter,
Jarrett Gibson,
Omarion Miller from Colorado's another guy. Muhammad from Washington.
That's the kid with VFL ties.
Dallin Hayden.
Dallin Hayden,
a former Ohio State running back. Went to my rival high school. Know him pretty well.
Yeah. But like the quarterback thing, it's weird. I've been an advocate for going for the cheaper guy, and then building depth, and how I've talked about how the defense is right now still playing or top 10, top 15 in the country. So let's build there and things like that. But the guys you're mentioning, this Calandria and this, what was it, Caden?
Caden Hauser.
Caden Hauser, I don't know if they do it for me, to be honest. I think I think those two guys would be kind of a swing and miss in the portal. And if you're telling me you're going there, I'm wondering if McIntyre's in the plans, and something like that, especially if Aguilar doesn't hit. So, nobody jumping off the page really, except for, possibly this running back, if that's the route they want to go.
When we come back, I know the defensive side of the football is what everyone is wanting to know about, as that is going to be a focus of this Tennessee team this offseason. I'll tell you the guys that Tennessee has got an eye on right now and also might have a little bit of an in with. We'll tell you those guys when we return right here on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Attention service members and veterans. Introducing the Griffin Law Firm, your trusted ally in military legal matters. From court martials to benefit claims, at Griffin Law, your mission is their mission. Here's VFL Marshall Griffin.
As a veteran and retired military attorney, I've successfully defended lifelong benefits and helped preserve professional futures. So I know that when you hire a military justice lawyer, you maximize your chance to get relief. With my unique experience, I can advocate for you because there's no military matter that's too big or too small. Let us help you make these critical decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Remain silent. Request counsel. Call Griffin Law.
For a free consultation, call 888-707-4282. That's 888-707-4282. Or just visit griffinlawdefense.com.
Catch the 2025 Vols season finale with the Fan Run crew at Tennessee Tap House. That's right, we're throwing an all-day Music City Bowl party on Tuesday, December 30th, starting at 11 a.m. with the Tony Basilio Show, into the Playbook, and followed by the drive leading up to kickoff as the Vols take on Illinois in the battle for Orange supremacy. We'll have Fan Run swag to give away as well as drink specials. Come by and eat some food, have some brews, and say goodbye to 2025 with us at Tennessee Tap House.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your home exterior needs. If your home needs new siding, windows, doors, gutters, handrails, a deck, or a new roof, then give my friends at North Knox Siding and Windows a call at 865-689-0505. You can also visit their showroom at 5618 North Broadway. Locally owned and operated and proudly serving all of Knoxville and the surrounding areas, North Knox Siding and Windows. Online at northknoxsidingandwindows.com.
Hey Knoxville! Surfside iced tea and vodka, made with real brewed tea, is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside, or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
God knows I am reincarnated. I was stargazing. Life goes on. I need all my babies. Woke up looking for the.
All right, back here on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you listening along with us, however you may be doing so, on the free Fan Run Radio app or live on YouTube. We appreciate all of those listening along with us. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, just dropped a poll in there. Vote on the position that you feel like is the most of importance for Tennessee in the portal. So we just talked about the offensive side of the football. Now we'll focus on the defensive players to watch for Tennessee in the transfer portal. And we know that defense is going to be one of the key components in roster formation for Tennessee this upcoming season. After a year where it didn't really go well You ended up losing your defensive coordinator. You ended up hiring a new one in Jim Knowles. I said that was a championship hire. And hiring Knowles tells me that Tennessee is committed to putting together a really impressive unit. So let's get into those defensive players to know about. Let's begin with Keaton Thomas, Baylor linebacker, the 130th overall player in the portal with an 86th grade, a 6'2 linebacker out of Jacksonville, Florida. Brett, what county is Jacksonville, Florida located in?
Let's see if I got this on the map.
Yeah.
Duval.
Oh, yes, that'd be Duval County. Keaton Thomas. Total 205 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 3 pass deflections, 2 interceptions through 2 seasons. And he's one of the only Baylor linebackers to have back-to-back 100 tackle seasons. And that's a Baylor history that goes back very deep. And Baylor's had some great defensive players as well. Keaton Thomas, a name to know. And I think he's pretty underrated, really. Now, I name off that 130th overall in the portal ranking. I think this is a guy that's already proven he can play at a really high level. I think he's kind of a sneaky addition here if Tennessee were to, add him in the offseason. This is a guy to know about because he's got a ton of experience, is a headhunter, is really good technique-wise. You can go look at his film on Twitter. I think there was an Alabama page that put something out about him. Good stuff there. I like Keaton Thomas a lot. I think he's a name to know for Tennessee football, and this is possibly a guy that, could wind up being in Knoxville next season. Now, some defensive players to keep an eye on. I feel like Tennessee's in a good mix with Thomas, but the defensive players to keep an eye on will begin with Mateen Igbaraga, it's Ibirogba. Erboga? Mateen Erboga?
That looks right.
Yeah. It's tough, folks. It's a word salad. It's one of those cat on the keyboard type names, but take my word for it.
He can play football.
Mateen I from Wake Forest on the defensive line, the number 3 overall player in the portal with a 95 grade. This is a 6'3 junior from Clarksburg, Maryland, who had 21 tackles, 7 solo tackles, and 2 sacks in 2025 with an expected NIL evaluation of $750K to $1.1 million as one of the top players in the portal. And I read those numbers. 21 tackles, 7 solo, 2 sacks. You might be saying, what? This guy is a top 3 player in the portal? Are you kidding me? Well, let me read that size to you again. 6'3 on the defensive line. And this is a guy that was a big reason why Wake Forest was able to spurn a lot of success this season. New coach, new system, a lot of portal players. This is a guy that stuck around and made a big impact and was a big reason why Wake Forest was competitive in a lot of ACC games against better opponents. I know the ACC shouldn't be the standard of, is this a good player or not? But there's a reason why this guy is highly evaluated, and that's a name to keep an eye on for Tennessee right now. Another one is Tawfik Bayard from Colorado. He's a safety. And that Colorado to Tennessee connection was pretty good this past season with Colton Hood joining the Volunteers after spending a season with the Buffs last season. Bayard is the number 70 overall player in the portal with an 88 grade. He's a 6'1 sophomore from Hyattsville, Maryland, began his career at South Florida. And he totaled 79 tackles and a half a sack, 1 interception, and 2 fumbles forced in 2025 for Coach Prime and the Buffs. He is the brother of former Tennessee Titans safety Kevin Bayard. Nice little Tennessee connection there. He's got an expected NIL of $500K. And then finally, this is a guy that I personally didn't hear about, but I know some other people that cover Tennessee heard about, and that's Quay Moss, Kansas State safety, number 146 overall in the portal with an 86 grade. He's a 5'10 junior from West Point, Georgia. 31 tackles, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, and 1 fumble forced in 2025. I think that could be, one of those depth pieces that Tennessee adds at that safety position. You're losing Andre Turrentine. You're losing a lot of defensive backs from this room already. I like Byard a lot more than Moss. But again, in the portal, you got to take what you can get. He's still a top 50 guy, is Quay Moss. 150 guy, I should say. But I think, the more depth you can get, the more guys you can plug and play and figure out if it works, the better. And I think Quay Moss would be one of those guys early on. So those are the defensive players to keep an eye on right now. Those are the guys that have been, filtered to me. And, I feel like there are a couple of really nice options here on both sides of the football. But, I go back to Keaton Thomas out of Maryland, or excuse me, not Maryland, out of Baylor. I think that's a guy that's underevaluated in the portal. I think he's a lot better than the 130th best player. I think he's a lot better than the 86th grade that he's got. I think he could be a big-time addition to this linebacker room with plenty of experience. And obviously, you've got a guy in Jane Perlotti who was really impressive this season, but you want some depth in there. You want some experience. I think Keaton Thomas would give you that. Looking at these defensive players, Brett, which one sticks out to you the most?
Well, obviously, the biggest name on there, the kid out of Wake, for sure. I mean, you need big-time pass rush in the college game. I mean, it helps your defense all the way around. Helps your back end, helps your linebackers. It helps your other defensive linemen. If you have a guy that's on the edge that can get to the quarterback and wreak havoc, then it's a bonus. And I mean, just off those guys you listed, like this guy's got the most upside. And losing Josephs and maybe a Jordan Ross, what are you left with? So I think edge rusher, and knowing where Knowles came from, Penn State, Ohio State, you just look at the names he had on those edges, and they're some of the tops in the game. And, I think that's where he's going to focus a lot of his attention, is on these edges and things like that. You win with those guys and everything. So I immediately looked at that guy, and I'm just looking at the guys that are physical and can tackle as well. I mean, that was a big, a disappointing thing that we didn't have really many guys outside of a handful that could, make a tackle in the open field, things like that. So, hopefully they're evaluating well. And, I'm excited to see what this guy does and who he brings in, on the defensive side of the ball. That's where I'm looking at more so than even quarterback right now.
Once again, if you're on the YouTube chat, we put out a poll, biggest need for Tennessee in the portal. Right now, DB has 100% of the votes.
Yeah.
And it's not just one person voting on that, by the way.
We need to help.
So,
what about you? I mean, who are you out of those names? I mean, is there just somebody else that's floating out there?
Well,
what are you looking for if you were the defensive coach? I mean, if you were Knowles, I mean, where's your primary focus? Is it on the back end?
Well, I think it's at all three levels, right? But I think in college football, and particularly the SEC, if you've got a good defensive line and a good offensive line, your team's going to win games just because of that.
Right.
So I look at Mateen I from Wake Forest as a guy I'd put a lot of stock in, a lot of resources in. I think Tawfiq Byard is an intriguing piece. Mm-hmm. Now, he's a little expensive, but we all know that the portal is going to be expensive, period. I think 500 is actually a pretty fair number when you look around and see what other guys are getting. But I really like Keaton Thomas a lot, and I know I talked a lot about him, but I think he's underrated and has the engine kind of similar to Arian Carter to come in next season and be an instant impact. So in terms of the defense, I obviously focus on the defensive line, and I know that you've got a lot of guys that you've recruited at a high level over the last couple of years that even still haven't had the opportunity to play, like an Isaiah Campbell, a guy you added a couple of years ago at the recruiting level, high school recruiting level, that is. And Ronnie Garner expected to stick around. Pete Nakos made that announcement yesterday. Haven't had a confirmation on that, but I think that would be a no-brainer if Jim Knowles is a smart guy, and I believe he is.
Yes.
He would probably evaluate and look at the type of defensive lineman that Ronnie Garner's pumped out and said, yeah, I'll keep that guy around.
Yeah.
Now, I do expect over the next couple of days a lot of these new additions to the defensive coordinators to be announced, as Penn State, their season now officially in the books. We talked about Alex Poindexter a couple of weeks ago. I'd look to maybe have a new guy at linebackers coach, William Inge, right now, who came by way of Washington a season ago. He is currently on this staff, but he's got a contract that's expiring. I anticipate you'll get a new guy at that linebacker position. But I think you'll start to firm out that slate of guys you have in the mix. USC just picked up the defensive backs coach for Penn State. What is it?
Or was it USC? Or was he going to Penn State? Was it the USC going to Penn State, or was it vice versa?
It's Lynn. I know it's Lynn. You might be right. I might have just read that message wrong.
because he was the USC defensive coordinator, right?
Okay, so I read that wrong.
Maybe, yeah.
Errors and omissions.
No, you're good.
But you're gonna start to fill a lot of that out over the next couple of days, especially after the bowl game ends, because you're gonna be going in the portal looking for these guys. You're gonna need a defensive staff to go out there and do it, and a defensive staff to go and sway a lot of these players. Now, a couple of guys that I did not mention on the transfer portal intel for Tennessee that you might be asking about at home. William, what about Sam Leavitt? William, what about a Josh Hoover? What about Chaz Coleman? Leavitt, I think, is going to get, a ton of money, $5 million. I don't know if Tennessee is willing to do that. And he is the best quarterback in the portal right now and will be, unless.
Has he even announced?
Well, he's going.
I know. I mean, I just look at the quarterback rate. He's not even in there.
Well,
it's crazy.
He's going. He's going to wait. I was even talking to a couple of players this weekend, not Tennessee players, but like a couple of guys are waiting to officially announce. Like there are a couple of guys that are like planning on, but haven't formally announced it. And they're like, let's do an announcement on January 2nd when I'm actually in. So I feel like Leavitt's still in that spot, but Leavitt wasn't there for the end of season banquet.
No.
Leavitt wasn't there for practice and hasn't been as the lead up for the Sun Bowl continues for the Sun Devils. So, I mean, he's going to the portal,
right.
But he's going to be very expensive. Chaz Coleman's a guy that a lot of people have thought about as well. Now, that's a former 5-star recruit out of high school. He followed Knowles from Ohio State to Penn State. I have a pretty nice inkling that he's going to be going to Ohio State. Yeah. I don't anticipate he comes to Tennessee. There's a clip after Penn State and Ohio State played this season where Coleman was very friendly with the Ohio State staff walking off the field. I don't usually see that from –
No.
I know a lot of these guys recruit and have relationships with people. Like DJ Lagway would be caught after every game talking like Georgia players and Ole Miss coaches and stuff like that. I get it. But I feel like he's an Ohio State-bound player.
They could get the Coleman guys, both of them.
Well, yes.
Which is going to be pretty devastating for the rest of college football.
I would not be surprised if Cam Coleman went to Ohio State.
Him and Jeremiah Smith.
There are a lot of options out there for Coleman.
That is up there with Jefferson and Chase at LSU, easily, if not better.
Texas A&M is going to be a team to watch for him. LSU. But I think Ohio State makes a lot of sense. They're losing.
Carnell Tate's gone.
They're losing Carnell Tate. Brandon Ennis is still going to be around next year.
They bring in Coleman.
Well, they bring in they bring in Chris Henry Jr. But can you imagine that? Oh my gosh, that wide receiver room would be nasty.
Oh, unbelievable.
But I don't think Coleman's coming here. Josh Hoover right now seems Indiana bound. Does not look like Tennessee is going to be able to corral him.
Byron Brown feels Auburn, right?
Yeah, Byron Brown feels Auburn. Auburn's had a mass exodus, though, of players. If I'm Byron Brown, I look around and say, what am I throwing to here?
Yeah, because the other receiver's gone. Well, no, he's back.
Singleton's still there.
Yeah, but you lose Cam.
But they lost Malcolm Simmons, a guy that was an impressive player for them this year as well. So they've had, I think, 24 players leave since Golish was announced. So regardless, I think the guys I listed right now are the guys that I think Tennessee is best in line with. Leavitt, I don't anticipate, but Leavitt is an Adidas athlete. You never know. That variable could come into it. Hoover, I believe, is an Indiana-bound guy. And then Coleman, I would look at Ohio State. But there are still a lot of nice names on this list. And there are also some guys that have yet to enter the portal that are still on college football playoff teams that could end up here. And there are also guys that I might not have any intel on that Tennessee is after and anticipating going after once the portal opens. So there are some good names on this list. Obviously, a lot of work to do. It's unlikely that all of these guys will end up volunteers, but I think there are some key players on this list and guys that can make an impact on day one next year. I think the quarterback is the thing that you have to closely look at right now because there are only so many good ones. I feel like with defense, right, obviously it's a big point of emphasis for this group, but you can get guys on the defensive line, the linebackers, DBs. There's only quarterbacks one position, right? There are only a couple of good quarterbacks, and I think if you have to go down the list of like you have to add a Colton Joseph, I think that's when you're in a little bit of a predicament. And that's no straight at Joseph, but
I think he's better than those other two names you mentioned.
You think he's better than Hauser?
I do. Yeah.
You think he's better than Sorsby?
No, not Sorsby, but those other
Calandria?
Calandria and
I think Calandria is solid. I'd say
I just like the running aspect that Joseph brings. I like that element. I don't think the other two guys bring that at all. Calandria, I mean, they can do it at pieces, but like I think we missed that as great as we were through the air, but we missed that little element of being able to RPO isn't really an RPO if the quarterback can't run it, and things like that. I like that aspect, and he's a decent thrower of the ball. I don't think you have to be wildly accurate to throw to these skill positions that we have, and things like that. So I don't know. That's me personally, but because it just feels like those other two guys, you're telling me that McIntyre's got a great chance to win this job. That's the way I feel about it. If you're going to go that route for that cheap.
Well, I don't think Caden Hauser would be a...
I mean, looking at the quarterback rankings, they're down there below. Caden Hauser, not even the top 10 of quarterback rankings.
Caden Hauser would start over GMAC. Calandria would start over GMAC.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's just not a foregone conclusion, though, that they come in here and just, because you played 3 years of college football means you're, better than McIntyre.
Well, I mean, Hauser, again, 3,300 yards, 19 touchdowns,
I'm watching
6
a lot of young kids fling it in these bowl games right now.
Well, bowl games.
But, I mean, it's football. It's 11-11 football.
I know, but how many of those young kids slang it in the regular season on the highest level, which Tennessee is
But, I mean,
on?
if they go out there and they suck, then, all right, you can't play football for us. See ya. But I think this gives you hope that maybe we got something here. Maybe we're cooking with a little gas. I don't know. Well, we're not going to see it. I mean, Mac's not playing this tomorrow.
No.
So, but I don't know. That's the way it's writing to me right there with those names.
Yeah.
That you're not aiming up here, which that's pretty risky if you're Heupel, if you ask me.
When we come back, it's our best bets recap and look ahead presented by VIP Play. And then in hour number 2, we'll get you ready for the Music City Bowl between Tennessee and Illinois, what to expect, who a breakout candidate could be. We'll also talk college football playoff and much more. The best bets recap and look ahead up next on the Playbook presented by VIP Play.
Catch up with all things Fan Run by subscribing to our podcast feed. Like, rate, and download the show from the Fan Run app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Your smile says it all, so make sure it's saying the right thing. At Knoxville Smiles, we believe healthy teeth mean happy lives. Whether it's a routine cleaning, whitening for that big event, or fixing a nagging toothache, our gentle team is here for you. With flexible hours, family-friendly care, and the latest technology, Knoxville Smiles makes every visit stress-free. Don't wait another day to love your smile. Call Knoxville Smiles today at 865-539-1776 or book online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Hi, this is Bo Kregner from the Kregner Group at Realty Executives, and I know there's a lot of choices here in East Tennessee when it comes to choosing a realtor. Here's why the Kregner Group is different. At the Kregner Group, our motto is walking by faith, serving others. It's how I live my life. It's how I run my business. Here at the Kregner Group, we're committed to doing real estate the right way. Faith, honesty, integrity. The Kregner Group. Call me anytime at 865-742-1035 or visit my website at boknowshouses.com.
Got a problem tree looming over your home? Call ECR Total Landscapes. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, our certified pros get the job done safely and efficiently. We're licensed, insured, and ready 24/7 for emergency calls. Big or small, we cut them all. ECR Total Landscapes. Call now for a free estimate, 865-384-2012, and mention promo code FANRUN for free stump grinding on any tree removal now through the end of the year. Also, visit us at ecrtotallandscapes.com.
Hey, folks, if you're in need of a lawyer, you need to call my friend Jerry Givens. I've known Jerry since high school and can personally vouch for him. He's East Tennessee through and through, and if you're going through a divorce, bankruptcy, or a DUI case, you'll need someone you can trust on your side to help you navigate the local legal system. You can trust Jerry Givens. Call the law offices of Jerry Givens today at 865-801-9250 to schedule your free consultation. That's 801-9250.
Dick's House of Sport at Westtown Mall is a destination devoted to sport, and it's your destination for exclusive events and experiences. Come visit a store like no other. Check out our 40-foot rock wall, golf performance center, Hit Track's batting cage, and outdoor turf field. You can now rent our space for private events and birthday parties. Learn more about our events and exclusive product launches on Facebook and Instagram at Dick's House of Sport KNX. Dick's House of Sport, proud partner of Tennessee Athletics.
All right, back here on the Playbook presented by VIP Play. Now time for our best bets recap from over the last week or so. We haven't joined you in a minute. Brett, did you watch the Fraud Bowl on Saturday?
I loved every minute of it.
There you go.
You see the emotion Brent Key had when they were asking about Haynes King.
Well,
just love that.
I wish he would have put that.
I wish Notre Dame was playing in it. Oh, wait.
I wish he would have put that emotion in the final drive and the way they handled that.
That was a fun game.
It's been a tough time for me since we last joined. We'll begin with Washington State +1. We covered that 34-21. They won outright. But after that, it has been downhill sledding.
Oh, no.
Louisville -11. This was on Tuesday, the 23rd. They were up by what would have been 14. The field goal gets blocked, or the extra point gets blocked. They go down and scoop it up. Toledo does and scores. They make it an 11-point game, and Toledo scores late. Don't cover that one. Southern Miss led for much of this one against Western Kentucky in the New Orleans Bowl, but lose outright by 11. California on Christmas Eve, it ruined Christmas. Cal was up 21-0 and allowed the biggest comeback in Hawaii Bowl history and somehow left a wide open receiver in the end zone with
crazy.
9 seconds left to go with a backup quarterback. We did bounce back with Northwestern -12.5. They beat the crap out of Central Michigan 34-7. New Mexico +1.5 against Minnesota. They go to overtime. New Mexico scores first. Minnesota tacks it on and scores in overtime, winning 20-17. Georgia Tech +3.5, 2-unit play. About pulled the TV out of the console.
Bear
man.
Bachmeyer. It was a win-win for me that day.
I mean, Georgia Tech is up 21-10.
They were cruising, man. They had it.
21-10 in the late third quarter, and they blow it. I thought their time management was horrible. And let's not glaze Bear Bachmeyer. Bachmeyer had some bad plays. Let's pump the brakes on that one. But
that was fun.
But BYU wins the Brett Bowl.
It was. I was eating my Pop-Tarts while watching.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Kalani Sitake devoured one of those. I don't know if you saw it.
I did, yeah.
He ate the whole Pop-Tart in one bite.
I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah. He's got a big jaw, it looks like, though. He's got a big head.
I mean, that thing's square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has been a rough go, admittedly, over the last week or so in bowl betting, but thankfully we've got a lot of opportunities this upcoming week.
So, Mestamaker.
Uh-huh.
Is he not in the portal?
He is.
He played, right?
He did.
Can you do that?
Caleb Hawkins played too, though.
But can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You can enter the portal but still play in your game?
Yeah.
Because the portal's not officially open.
Correct.
I guess that's why.
Correct.
I was shocked to see Mestamaker out. That was a great game.
Well, it's up to team discretion, really.
How did they? I mean, they were cruising.
I know.
It's bowl season, man.
They still got the win. That's all that matters.
They gave up 30 points in the fourth quarter.
It's okay. Hey, it's part of it.
Oh my goodness!
It's part of the fun.
I couldn't believe I was watching.
Part of the fun.
And I guess you watched LSU Houston.
I did.
What'd you make of that one?
Well, honestly,
Kiffin was
Kiffin's going to be Kiffin.
Yeah.
He's going to steal the show for a second and
Yeah.
leave right after. I tweeted out, I love LSU Houston or that matchup because
fun.
it's a power 4 game, but it's not like two heavyweights going up against each other. And that's the stuff I love about bowl season. It's almost like you got a pick 3 randoms type of, like when you're playing EA
The
college
names are
football.
big.
Yeah. But it's like two teams that would never play, but it's like still a fun
and you would think
matchup.
they would. LSU Houston's not very far
Yeah.
apart. It's a fun little matchup.
Best bowl game attendance the Texas Bowl has had in years. 61,000.
Yeah.
And I'm a very subtle
Houston fan?
Connor Wiegman enjoyer. I didn't like him at Texas A&M, but he did have a good season this year.
Yeah.
Houston was weird. They had so many bad losses. They'd get ranked and then lose to West Virginia.
Yeah.
In West Virginia, they didn't make a bowl game.
They won 10 games.
I know.
They're a
Good for
team.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their first time winning 10 games since 2015. Second time with 10 or more wins in the last almost 15 years. So good for them. When we come back in hour number 2, we'll get ready for the Music City Bowl as well as the college football playoff quarterfinal games, previews for all of those. And then we'll talk some NFL. That team from Duval, that small market team from Duval, folks,
making loud noise,
is still winning games. We'll talk about it on the other side. Stay right here. It's Playbook presented by VIP Play on a Monday.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox. Fox Sports Knoxville. Fan Run Radio.
Today, we raise a glass of Jameson Irish whiskey to the sport of football. Hear, hear!
To Gaelic football, born in Ireland in 1885 in its thrilling blend of soccer, rugby and basketball. On a massive field, 15 players kick or hand pass a round ball that scored points over a bar or into a net. No pads, no helmet, no sense.
Hear, hear!
To college football, which kicked off in 1869 when Rutgers beat Princeton 6-4 in the Battle of New Jersey. With 11 players and helmets and pads, teams battle on a 100-yard gridiron with explosive pass plays and hard-hitting tackles. Unless you're called for targeting.
Hear, hear! Since 1780, Jameson Irish whiskey has been enjoyed by sports fans all around the globe. Whether your football is Gaelic, American, or even soccer, we can all agree on super smooth Jameson Irish whiskey. Hear, hear!
Are you tired of waiting on interest rates to drop before you start saving money? I'm Chris Burleson with University Lending Group, and I've got a better way. With a traditional closed-end mortgage, most of your payment goes straight to interest, not your balance. But with my Smart Loan, every deposit you make cuts your principal immediately and reduces interest in real time. On average, my clients pay off their mortgage in just 7 years. Call me today at 865-388-7634 or visit smartloantn.com and let's turn your income into financial freedom. NMLS number 332941.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Here we go. Hour number 2 on a Monday, live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's the Playbook presented by VIP Play. Brett Hullander joining you. I'm William Pattison. Great stuff in hour number 1. We'll continue it here in hour number 2 as we get ready for the Music City Bowl between Tennessee and Illinois, as well as the college football playoff quarterfinal matchups this week. And we'll also talk the NFL as the playoff picture is starting to shape up. And we're going to have a couple of games this week that will be kind of like play-in games of who's going to make the
Isn't
field.
there a game today?
Well, there is a game tonight.
A bowl game?
Oh, there's a bowl game today. Yes, Georgia Southern and Appalachian State.
Okay,
This is a matchup between two teams that played earlier in the season. Appalachian State at 5-7 only made it because of other teams that opted out.
Gotcha.
But there is an NFL game tonight as well.
Yep.
But I'm more so focused on next week as we really start to get some stakes.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. We got a poll running on the YouTube chat as well. If you guys want to get in on the action, biggest need for Tennessee in the portal: quarterback, DB, running back, a defensive lineman, or linebacker. Right now, 46% say quarterback, 38% say defensive back, 15% say a defensive lineman or linebacker, 0% say running back. So Hollywood Smothers, people are not interested in him.
Well, when you put the other ones up there,
Yeah.
you know.
We'll look at the YouTube chat as well. Buck says you're wasting money on a transfer quarterback. This isn't going to fix this team. You're going to have to string a defense to even get to 6-6. Cajun Vol 882 says, I agree 100%, Buck. Go with GMAC. Drop an extra $4 million on elsewhere to support GMAC. He is a stud, and many other great programs would love to snag him and drop him off on the field now. I'll reiterate quickly what I've said over the last couple of weeks. First off, I don't think GMAC is ready. I think the staff has kind of hinted at that, as he hasn't gained any weight since he's gotten on campus. That was one of his goals this offseason. I think the staff is pretty upset about that. You had one goal. You weren't going to play this year. You knew that. Gain some weight. I know he's got allergies and intolerances. I do as well. I know what it's like. I trust me. I've probably got double to triple the amount of allergies he does. I know it's difficult, but you can still find a way to gain weight. There's still things you can eat. So I think that is a part of it. The second thing is what teams in college football right now are having a lot of success with 20-year-old, 19-year-old quarterbacks. William, look at Julian saying, oh my gosh, at Ohio State. Well, Ohio State's got Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, an offensive line that has NFL guys, Arvell Reese on the defensive side, Caleb Downs, Jermaine Matthews, David Egbunison. Like, they've got NFL guys all over the place. And Sayan's done really well this year. He was a Heisman finalist for a reason. Really good completion percentage. But that's like an outlier to the Arch Mannings of the world that were inconsistent this season on a very, very talented Texas team. DJ Lagway's in the portal for a reason. Dylan Raiola hadn't done a damn thing in 2 years. Bryce Underwood was underwhelming in the big games they had this year. All of that to say, I'm not saying that, a Raiola, Lagway, and Underwood won't be good long term, but they weren't ready. And neither is GMAC, and that's okay. We're just in a different age of college football. Gone are the days of, let's throw the freshman out there and let's just develop him for 3 to 4 years, and he's going to be our starter for the next 4. That's not how it works, because now there is so much pressure to make the 12-team field. And you're going to be the same one frustrated if Tennessee is not in the college football playoff contention next year. I know right now in December, it's easy to say, I don't really care about. Let us have a 6-6 year. We'll get it together. I promise you, come August, when things get rolling, everyone's expectations raise because football's back. You've been waiting on it for months. You're back in Neyland Stadium. You feel it in the air. You want Tennessee to have a good football team. And I think Josh Heupel, for as much criticism as he has gotten over the last couple of months, he's not going to be able to afford a 6-6 season. And I think he knows that. That's why he went out and hired Jim Knowles. He hired Jim Knowles because that's a championship hire. You go get all these big-time guys in the portal that you're going to do so here soon. because you're trying to build for right now. So it's just a different age of college football, folks. Buck weighs in and says, how much did Tyler Bray weigh? Well, Tyler Bray wasn't going up against the type of machines that you see on the offense and defensive line in college football now. There is a 8th grader in Atlanta, Georgia that is 6'5", 260 right now. Those guys weren't walking around in 2013. Like, there are so many more grown men now in college football. It's insane. You see these high school recruit pictures? Mm-hmm. These guys have full beards and mustaches. They look like grown-ass men. And I know there was an outlier every now and then back in, 2013, but like, I just think there is so much more emphasis now on, getting your son to the SEC or getting your son to the college football level. And there's a lot more training. There's a lot more that goes into it than what went down 15 years ago. Tyler Bray was a great quarterback, but it was a different college football world.
So what is McIntyre doing on the roster? If he's not, when is he ready?
I think he's ready after next year. Gain some weight, get another.
But are you going to say the same conversation?
No.
We haven't seen this guy play.
No.
Here's another senior quarterback that's 25 years old.
Because
Let's bring him on.
Because it'll be McIntyre in his second year and is now going into his 3rd year. I would be fine with that. I'd be fine with Brandon competing for it. But I don't want to trot out an 18 to 19-year-old guy heading into next season and say, let's go win games this way. It's not going to work. Do you want wins or do you want to do the right thing? The right thing is to just stick with your 18, 19-year-old quarterback and see how it plays out. I want to win games. I think
you don't know if he can't win games. You don't know.
I know based on the track record of what guys like him have looked like.
Yeah, as of like 2-3 years ago. I mean, it's not. This has normally been the way things went. Like you get these 5-star kids, they can play. I don't think the weight should have anything to do with it. If they worried about his weight, they wouldn't recruited him. They recruited him for the football.
But you recruited him with the intention of him gaining weight this year. It's been explicitly said.
Well, didn't Aguilar come out and say, "Hey, don't let his weight fool you. He's a really strong kid."
What is he going to say? What is the starting quarterback going to say about his backup?
Maybe he's not.
Stop
ready.
that. He's not going to say that. Are you kidding me? You think Bill Martin and all of them at Tennessee are going to let him say that? No. And it's not even like I should have rephrased it. I have a lot of respect for Bill Martin and all that. But they're not going to go in a press conference allow their quarterback to go bash the backup. They're not going to allow that. They've been PR trained.
Can't they say, I don't think he's ready?
They're not going to say that, though.
Do you think they're just worried because of the way the Nico thing went or something? I don't know. Did they feel like they rushed him out there? Nico wasn't the biggest kid, but, made the college football playoff with him being average.
But that was because of a really good defense.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you had a really good run game. Like, there's ways to win this stuff.
But are you going to have a really good run game next year? There are a lot of different...
Again, I think defense wins more than we're playing on.
But, so, you made the college football playoff last year, right? But you got waxed in that game, and the big issue throughout the season was the offense was insufferable. The offense was hard to watch.
Yeah.
So, you played the young guy last year, but the offense wasn't the reason why you made it. The defense is why you got there. And the defense has a bunch of guys in the NFL right now playing and about to get drafted.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can rely on that. Your offense this year was really strong. It was, up to the expectation of what it was in 2022. But you had an experienced quarterback in that season. You had an experienced quarterback this year.
I think all the defenses playing in the playoff are better than their offenses.
Say that one more time.
I think the defenses for these teams that are in the last 8 are better than their offenses.
I think that's a fair argument. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying you don't need this.
But you also have the offenses but Oklahoma, for example, Oklahoma's offense was kind of similar to Tennessee last year. Like had some moments, but most of the time didn't.
And they were in the playoff
and hosting
and Alabama, same thing. They had moments when their offense is up here and carrying the defense, but the defense.
I know, but Oklahoma. I think Mateer had higher.
I think that's what people want. I think they just want us to go in and hit this portal on the defensive side of the ball harder than finding a quarterback and paying out the wazoo for, Sorsby or Levitt or somebody like that.
All right, real quick, some people in the chat chiming in. Yeah, I think this, quote, perfect model weight is silly. Plenty of outstanding pros don't fit the model. He's the same weight what Nico looked like in the Citrus Bowl.
And I don't even think you're mentioning like the weight being the problem. You're mentioning the fact that he's not old enough.
Yes.
And maybe the weight's part of it.
Yes.
But he's ultimately not ready to take the field to put you in the playoff.
Yes.
Where you want to be.
Like the weight isn't the big thing for me. I use the weight as an example of what his goal for this season was and why there is a little bit of a rift there from the staff. I think it plays a part into it, but I'm not saying that's why I wouldn't start him. I'm not saying I wouldn't start him because of the weight. I'm saying I wouldn't start him because look around college football. There are not a lot of teams that have had any success with a young quarterback. DJ Lagway was the talk of the town this offseason. Everyone was talking about him.
Yeah.
And he got some reps last year.
He did.
And he looked horrible this season. Now, he had a lot of time in the offseason where he's banged up and injured and in a boot. I understand it. I think he'll be better next year.
Do you think McIntyre sits another season, though? Like, if we go January 2nd and we bring in Sorsby and he knows Faison Brandon's walking through that door, I think McIntyre's in the portal this January.
Then I think you go through a quarterback.
And I think you're going to have to find two new quarterbacks.
I think you then have a quarterback competition between McIntyre and Brandon. I really don't think it's like some people are saying, oh, you're casting away your young quarterback. You're not. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a guy that gives you insurance of we're trying to go win games with a veteran guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at like Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, just won the Heisman Trophy, transfer portal quarterback.
But we also lost our games this year because of our veteran quarterback.
I wouldn't say you lost all of them because of that.
I mean, Oklahoma, Bama.
Well, your defense lost you that.
I mean, they're not throwing picks.
Well, your defense
putting the team and fumbling against Oklahoma.
Okay, but against Georgia though, like it wasn't Joey's fault. If you win that game against Georgia,
no,
you're
that
in the
was
playoff
more. That
right
was
now.
more defense and hype on that one.
If you win that game against Georgia, you're in the playoff.
I agree, but the quarterback's gonna get the blame just like it's gonna get the accolades or whatever, for winning games.
Let's go with that, Will. Whose fault is it that he isn't ready, hasn't progressed? Sure, Mac has a responsibility, but who brought him in there? But at some point, you can tell someone, "Hey, you need to do this season." If done, they don't do it.
They've known he's had this issue.
Yeah,
I mean, going back since they've been recruiting him,
and
no doubt about it.
And I just use
that. Born different.
I use the weight as an example of what was not done this year that should have been done. It's not that it's not that I'm not starting him because of his weight.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's ready, period, because when you look at the track record of all these other quarterbacks that are in the first and second year, they did not have a lot of success this season, and a lot of them were on good teams.
Yeah.
Good rosters, at least. Florida was a good roster. Whether people want to believe it or not, Florida was a really good roster.
Yeah.
But they, would drop back DJ Lagway 49 times and throw 5 interceptions in a game on the road against LSU.
Agreed.
Bryce Underwood looked really strong against Nebraska. Didn't really do anything against Ohio State, Oklahoma, and their other big games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying get rid of him. And they're like, well, then get rid of him if you're not going to play him. Don't get rid of him. He's still got 3 years of eligibility if he doesn't play after this year.
Yeah, but I just don't think he's sticking around because I think people are going to be clamoring for Faison Brandon, if not already.
Well, then run him. But that's the thing. Run him through a quarterback competition. Let the best one win.
Well, no, I mean,
we're not. Why are we doing this thing of give it to the most deserving guy? We do that in the playoff, and everyone just complained about James Madison and Tulane because they were the most deserving. Mm-hmm. No one liked that. Don't give a quarterback the gig because he's the most deserving.
Mm-hmm.
Go get the best guy available. If you don't think McIntyre is the best available, then go get someone that you think is better. Trot him out this year and give Brandon and McIntyre the opportunity to battle it out heading into next season. And the best one will win that.
Yeah.
And then you roll that way.
I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, there's no doubt about it because if he has success and you've had success with these transfer quarterbacks, why all of a sudden you're going to have a quarterback battle for 2 young kids again? Why are you not going to just keep doing what you've been doing?
But it'd be a guy in year 3.
Yeah. I'm just worried about you go get one of these top guys. McIntyre's willing to wait. And maybe he is. He seems like a kid that's willing to wait, do what he's got to do to get ready to play. And maybe he will be fine with sitting another year. But I feel like if you bring in some of these other guys that aren't the top names, then I feel like he's going to have every chance to win this job straight out.
Well, just
like he gave the opportunity against Merck and against Aguilar and things like that.
And again, I think even if you add a transfer portal quarterback, that's not saying that McIntyre's out.
No.
He's got to go win the job. If he's a better guy, then go take it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would rather have the guy that wins the quarterback job than giving it to the most deserving guy.
Yeah.
If McIntyre's that good, and I hope he is good. I'm not hating on him. I hope he is good. But if he's that good, then he should be able to be out the guy they bring in. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just more annoyed that he's not playing every snap this tomorrow. I really am.
So we'll talk about the Music City Bowl.
Game, but yeah.
Because number 23 Tennessee will look to secure its 4th consecutive 9-win season as it wraps up its 2025 campaign on Tuesday evening against Illinois in the Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl at Nissan Stadium. 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN is the kickoff. Make sure to join us for the Fan Run Watch Party tomorrow at Tennessee Tap House. We'll have live shows all day long, beginning with the Tony Basilio Show at 11 a.m. We'll follow them up from 1 to 3, and then you got the drive that will take you right into kickoff between the Fighting Illini and Volunteers. And when the Volunteers square off against Illinois on Tuesday, it'll mark the 6th straight year that UT has played at least one game in Nashville, dating back to 2020. And the Big Orange will also be playing their 9th game all-time inside Nissan Stadium, home of the NFL's Tennessee Titans. And UT is 6-2 in previous 8 contests at the venue, including a 1-1 mark under current head coach Josh Heupel. The last time Tennessee played in the Music City Bowl was up against Purdue, and that ended up being a thriller in which we saw the young emergence of Jalen Hyatt. Who could be that guy in this game? You mentioned, Brett, that you would want to see a George McIntyre play a lot of snaps, but I think right now you got to consider, too, that Aguilar could still play next season for Tennessee. Over the weekend, he was one of 26 players that were included in the Diego Pavia JUCO case that are looking to get an extra year of eligibility. They are wanting that decision to be made in early January, right around the time of the transfer portal. If Aguilar does come back and can come back, would you not want him to play in the Music City Bowl? Would you still rather have a guy in McIntyre play over him, even if Aguilar could be your starter next year?
Man, that's still tough because I know what Aguilar's got, and I mean, we're just not going to have an answer on that. But I mean, I guess you want to play another. Yeah, I guess you'd want him to play the bowl game at that point. But I do still want to see the young kid play and things like that. That's what these games are for. It's a glorified almost scrimmage at this point for many people, and me personally, that's how I approach it. That's why I want to see Mac and things like that, because I feel like it's a good opportunity. Both these teams are one. It's a quality opponent. It's a good test for him to heading into the next season if he's your guy. But yeah, I don't know. I guess at that point, if Aguilar's coming back, then I guess you need every rep possible for him going into next season.
And I think if even he does come back, I would not mind seeing McIntyre. The thing is, you got to get up big enough.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen.
You need to win the bowl game. And you need to win the bowl game for momentum. I know a lot of people are like, who cares about the Music City Bowl?
Yeah.
With the way this year ended, you need to go out on a high note because that momentum carries into the offseason, whether you believe it or not.
And in this case, the portal.
that carries into the portal. If Tennessee gets waxed by Illinois on a neutral site field 3 days before the portal opens, that's a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
So I think it's important Tennessee plays well. And this is only a 2.5-point spread right now. It's not like Tennessee is.
I'm surprised they hadn't moved at all.
Well, it was 4.5. It's dropped down to Illinois' favor.
Keep losing players.
And they've got a couple of guys out, too.
They got their best players out.
Gabe Jacas is out, and that's their best player on the defensive side of the ball.
Have some tackle out, I think. So
yeah, I mean, they got some good players.
Yeah.
They only got 3 true opt-outs here. A couple of guys entering the portal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's kind of the same way with Tennessee. They've got just a couple of good players missing. But you're going to have to get up big to even give McIntyre the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You still need to win the bowl game. So what would you prioritize more? Winning the bowl game before the portal or getting to see George McIntyre play? What would you prioritize there?
I mean, I guess you want to win, obviously. But, I mean, if you go down and he plays well, I think that gives you just as much momentum. And, say you lose by 3 points, a late field goal, but McIntyre plays well. and things like that, I think that still gives you pretty good hope considering your defense is bad, and maybe you lose a shootout or something to Illinois, but McIntyre plays well. I still think you're coming out of that game feeling pretty well. Now, I realize, I felt really good when Milton beat Clemson in the Orange Bowl, and we saw how the next season went. It didn't go all that well. Expectations were through the roof, and then you saw Nico play against Iowa. Expectations again, especially the way that season started. So the bowl game can be a little misleading on a lot of things. Like guys break out, quarterbacks break out, but then the next year, you don't do as well. So it's double-edged sword, I guess, in certain ways.
So I just put in the YouTube chat. I go, and if you're watching, folks, follow that poll. Would you rather Tennessee win the bowl game or GMAC plays? And you have to kind of gamble the dice there of whether you win that game or not. Yeah. I would take a Tennessee win over anything because GMAC or not, GMAC, Aguilar, hell, Heath Schuler could come back down. I don't give a damn.
That'd be incredible.
I want momentum heading into the portal because at the end of the day, the defense is the side of the ball that needs all the fixing right now. The offense played fine.
It's not going to be good tomorrow.
And
you know that.
And you're going to be missing a ton of really important players tomorrow defensively. You're going to see it. You need to hit the portal up pretty hard for the defensive side of the ball. You got to get momentum with a win. I mean, I don't like, again, winning a bowl game doesn't mean that much in 2025, but it means a lot in the way the look of your program is moving in to the next season.
I mean, so if we win tomorrow, your outlook changes that much? Like going into next season?
I just have the...
Because I still feel like everybody's got Vanderbilt in the back of their mind, no matter what.
But that happens. Can be, if you get a nice bowl win, that changes a lot of things. That's the last taste of the season you have in your mouth. Like the Orange Bowl, right? I mean, I know it was a bigger game, but Tennessee dialed up all over Clemson. Mm-hmm. And Tennessee had a ton of momentum heading into that year. Last year, it was like, ooh. Mm-hmm. Everyone was walking out of that cold-ass...
but it was a playoff game, right?
I know, and that's why I kind of masked a little bit above, a little bit of it. But losing to Illinois, a Big Ten team in your own state, I don't think would bode well.
Yeah.
So momentum, I think, is big. A lot of talk about GMAC, a young player.
Yeah.
Jalen Hyatt a couple of seasons ago in the Music City Bowl against Purdue became a guy that kind of came onto the scene and ended up having a huge season for the Volunteers the next year. Who's a player that you think could put together in a performance like that? I'd look at Ethan Davis, a guy that I think played really good football over the course of the final half of the season. Yeah. I'd even look at a Radar Jackson or a Travis Smith Jr. here. Those wide receivers are going to have their opportunities. Illinois has got a couple of good DBs. Couple of guys opting out, a couple of guys entering the portal. But if you can get a big game from Radar Jackson, I think you feel a lot more comfortable at that wide receiver position.
Especially if you're thinking Matthews walks.
Especially if you think Matthews walks. Now, we're not going to be able to see TK Keys.
No, that'd be fun.
But Staley will probably be the number one guy on Tuesday. You'll get Radar next to him. You'll get Travis Smith next to him. You'll get Mike Matthews. I want to see that next good wide receiver. I think it could be Radar Jackson because he demonstrated this season. Heupel doesn't love to play young guys, but Radar Jackson played a good bit this season before he got banged up. He played in that Georgia game. I think Radarius Jackson has a big game against Illinois. That'd be my guy. I also look at an Ethan Davis. Now, the defensive side of the ball, I look for Perlotti to continue what he did in the second half of the season as well. I thought he was a great addition to the defensive side of the ball. Not a whole lot of great defense this year. I think at cornerback and safety, you're going to be grasping for straws of guys that you're going to see. But in terms of the guy I think could have that biggest boom would be Ethan Davis or Radar Jackson. Who do you say out of those young guys or out of a guy that might not have gotten a ton of play this year? You can say McIntyre if you want, but I don't know if we're likely to see him.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you're probably not going to see him. I mean, you got to look at the running backs now, too. I mean, Dwayne Morris is a guy who got some carries against lesser competition, but, he could kind of, maybe flash a little bit, maybe make your decisions in the portal. a little different, things like that. And I think he's got a lot of skills, a lot of twitch, a lot of speed on him. So he's gonna play in this bowl game. I think he could pop on Saturdays I keep saying Saturday, but Tuesday, and things like that. And then, on the back end, Redmond, as bad as we thought he was this season, he got some pretty high honors.
He did.
As all freshman teams, different things like that, which was shocking to see. But he kind of graded out fairly decently, surprised as well. So you kind of look at him. He's going to be kind of your number one guy tomorrow. So whoever Illinois' top guy, whether he's playing or not, I don't know. For them, maybe he's matched up on him, and maybe he, this last couple weeks of practice and knowing this is a big moment for him, with Knowles watching, that maybe he pops off the page, as well. So some big opportunities, especially on the back end for this defense. Just Farouk continue to develop and things like that. Safety is important for Knowles. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting tomorrow to see who's out there and who's got our eye.
Well, we'll be out at Tennessee Tap House tomorrow for the official fan run watch party of the Music City Bowl. Well, back-to-back Vols action. We'll get some football, then we'll go over to the basketball as well. Obviously, one game a little bit more important than the other as Tennessee faces a one-win South Carolina State team tomorrow. But, hey, still a lot of fun. Come out and join us. We'll be broadcasting live from 1 to 3. We'll be following up our guy, Tony B., and then we'll be segueing into the drive with Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith. And they'll take you right into kickoff. A good segue here on Fan Run Radio tomorrow. Good time coming ahead. Some free swag. I think they're doing some specials, too, on maybe some cold ones. I don't know. You need to come and check it out to see it for yourself. We'll see you there. And when we come back, we'll talk the college football playoff as well as the NFL playoff picture. Stay right here. It's the Playbook presented by VIP Play on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
For over 3 years, Crumble Cookies has served the Knoxville area. From Clinton Highway to Parkside Drive, even our friends out in Maryville have reached you, our fans, with the best cookies in the game. This fall, Crumble is gearing up for yet another fantastic season. Whether you're tailgating or looking for a pick-me-up after getting the kids from school, Crumble has you covered. Download the Crumble app to check out this week's rewards and features. And stop on by. Tell them Fan Run sent you, but don't miss the cookies.
Vol fans, reimagine your home at Broadway Carpets and Flooring for any remodeling or building needs. With a variety of carpets, rugs, hardwood, vinyl, and stone, Broadway has all the flooring and installation options you're looking for, including pet-resistant products like Pet Perfect Carpet from Shaw Floors. Visit their showroom in downtown Knoxville or the location in West Knoxville located on Kingston Pike near Pellissippi Parkway today.
Yeah, it's another day, but what kind of day is it really? A day of doom scrolling? Laundry day? Nah, it's a White Claw day. Light and refreshing tasting, uniquely cold way filtered. There's an iconic flavor for everyone. So grab a pack, grab your friends. Make the most of each day with those who matter most. When you're together with White Claw, every day is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You just gotta grab it. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavors. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeehaw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine. Live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-8899-789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Hey, Vols fans, Cody Brown here. I grew up right here in Tennessee and know what it means when someone says, I've got your back. That's why you can trust Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Whether it's your home, your vehicle, your family's future, or the business you built from the ground up, we will show up for all of your insurance needs. We are Tennesseans who understand what matters, which is doing right by you. Insurance is not all about just paperwork and policies, but it's about the people we insure every day. So if you want insurance that hits home, give me a call at 865-992-3871. Go Vols.
All right, back here on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you listening along with us. The college football playoff quarterfinal matchups take place on Wednesday and Thursday. Time to get ready for those with our college football playoff quarterfinal preview, and then we'll talk the NFL as well. They slightly changed the intro music this year. There's a slight change to it.
I don't think I noticed it that closely.
Yeah, it's not
I'm
as.
not sure I've heard it yet.
They had it going during the first round games, but I noticed slight things like that.
Gotcha.
So there was a slight tweak this year.
Okay.
But the college football playoff quarterfinals will feature a matchup of multi-time national champions, a game pitting two programs searching for natty number one, an SEC rematch, and the first meeting ever between Indiana and Alabama. A tweak to the seeding format after the first 12-team college football playoff to allow the highest-ranked teams to also be the top seeds has a second round looking like a potential banger. Through the half of the first round being ending in routes and yet a couple of good ones, it's good to have some good matchups in this one. Hopefully going to get competitive games in all four. We kick things off on Wednesday night on New Year's Eve in the Cotton Bowl between number 10 Miami and number 2 Ohio State. I think Miami hangs around in this one. I think they can win it. I've looked at this matchup, whether it was Texas A&M or Miami. I thought the winner of that game could beat Ohio State. I think there is a lot to say about staying on track. Last year, Ohio State got to play Tennessee on the 20th, and they went and played Oregon 10 days later and looked like a much more sophisticated team than Oregon did, who hadn't played in a month. I think staying on schedule has a big part of this. And they're like last year, the four teams that got byes all lost. Now, some of that is because Arizona State got a bye, Boise State got a bye. I know they're outliers, but Oregon was the best team in the country and got waxed by Ohio State. Mm-hmm. I think Miami has all the talent. They've got all the guys that Ohio State does, just a little bit less. Francis Magoa on the offensive line. Malachi Tony and C.J. Daniels at wide receiver. Fletcher's coming off the best game of his career. I don't think he'll do that against Ohio State, but Fletcher's coming off the game of his career. Carson Beck, I think, is the wild card once again here. The good Carson or the bad Carson? Kind of got the bad Carson against A&M. I'll give him credit, though. I'll give him a little bit of a pass because the weather wasn't good. It was windy as can be. This one's playing in a dome, but Carson Beck's played in these big games before. What does he look like? Julian Saint on the other side, he's never played in a college football playoff game. He's never played in a game of this magnitude. Now, you could say the Indiana game against
pretty big game.
And the Big Ten Championship was that, but it wasn't a great one for him.
Played Michigan as well. That's always a big game.
Yeah, I get it. But Carson Beck's played his fair
he's
share.
been around, yeah.
The defensive side of the ball, I think, is a big thing here because you got Reuben Bain and Akeem Mazador on the defensive line for Miami, and those guys ripped up Texas A&M, and that was a really good offensive line. I'm interested to see what Ohio State looks like against that. Everyone loves Ohio State. I know you do, and I know Alex does. But let's be real about their games this year. Against Texas, with Arch Manning playing at the version he was at that time, it wasn't great. That was a one-possession win. Their other big game was Michigan. They cruised in that one, but Bryce Underwood at quarterback in the snow wasn't very productive. And then in a dome up against Indiana, a team that has a lot of the same amount of talent, they lost as a 4.5-point favorite. The big games that Ohio State has played have all been close this year. Indiana, Texas, close games. Miami's got the talent to keep this thing close. I think 8.5 is a despicable line.
Despicable.
I think Miami could beat them.
You also said Miami's lost to some pretty bad teams.
And they have.
Okay.
But I think when you line them up in terms of the talent, I think they're right there with them. Now, Jeremiah Smith's going to be a tough guard, but Corey Heatherman's done a hell of a job for Miami defensively this year, and they play with some physicality. Guys like Jacoby Thomas, we used to watch him here in Knoxville. That guy's a headhunter. They got a couple of them on that defense. They're vicious. They're violent. I like Miami to hang around here, and I think that.
So you don't like them to win. You just like them the 9.5.
I think they could beat them. I'll probably have them on the money line, too. I'll put my money where my mouth is.
That's risky coming from guys.
It is risky.
All Christmas season.
It is risky. It is risky. And I'll probably be wrong. But I read this as a game where you've got a ton of talent on both sides. I don't think it should be as lopsided as people project. What do you make of the Cotton Bowl on Wednesday night?
I mean, all your points are valid for sure. And you don't like the fact that they had the bye. I think there's real momentum to winning a playoff game, especially the one that they won against A&M, where a lot of people didn't think they deserved to be there, yourself included, and I think they sent a message. I think Beck's going to have to play a whole heck of a lot better. He's going to have to make throws because, I mean, they've watched what Fletcher did against a good A&M defense, and that's going to be hard to come by with, the amount of talent on the defensive side of the ball. The strength of Ohio State's team is on that side of the ball. So with all the playmakers they got. So, I mean, this game all comes down to Beck. If Beck's, what we've seen, in many games, they can win, but that's the biggest question mark honestly in all of these games, for an upset, I think, so, I mean, I do like Ohio State. I don't know if that 9.5 is a pretty large number. I like them by a touchdown, probably at least. I think Sayin learned a lot from that Big Ten championship, and, I think they'll figure something out. And Ryan Day's got to figure it out too. His play calling inside the red zone was pretty brutal against Indiana. It kind of cost the team. So, and you know how these kickers are. You don't like either one.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very earnest. It's going to be a fun matchup, no doubt about it.
In the Orange Bowl, it's number 5 Oregon versus number 4 Texas Tech. A battle of my national champion versus the team that I have loved all season, the Fighting Tortillas. I think Evan Stewart did not practice on Friday, which I think is significant. I was hoping to have him back, and that was a big reason why I liked Oregon. If Stewart doesn't play, I think that takes out a huge chunk of what could be, a really potent offense. Obviously, Stewart has not played all year long, but I think Oregon's big issue has been the lack of consistent receivers. Now, they've gotten a Jacorian Moore back. That helps a lot. McClellan's done a good job, too, as a pass catcher. Kenyon Sadiq, very versatile. But Evan Stewart would make this thing really, really difficult to defend. I like Oregon's offensive personnel better than I do Texas Tech. Now, Cameron Dickey deserves a ton of credit. That guy's a really, really good back, but this is going to be a good Oregon defensive front they're going to go up against. And I know a lot of people are like, William, Oregon allowed 34 points to JMU. Well, let's pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Let's pump the brakes because that game was not close in the first half when the guys were really, really playing. And I know you can't measure how tough someone was playing, but I think you can tell when guys are going full speed and guys are, headhunting like they were in the first half. It was 34-6 at halftime, folks. So I lean Oregon here. I think this is going to be a really tight one. I think both defenses are going to have a huge impact. I like Oregon's offense just a little bit more here in terms of their personnel at full strength. I lean the Ducks. What do you make of this matchup?
This has the makings of a defensive struggle, honestly. Both defenses are really good, two of the tops in the country. Moore has struggled in a couple of the big games that he's been in with some turnovers and things like that. the surprising thing for Oregon is how physical they've been this year, because without those weapons, they had to really focus on the offensive line and the run game. They didn't have the explosive plays downfield that we've known Oregon to have. And Texas Tech just, they don't beat themselves. And I feel like that's going to carry them. I like I think I like your Red Raiders in this one. I think with Jacob Rodriguez leading them, I think I like Texas Tech in this one.
All right. We'll move to the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all in Pasadena, California. Alabama and Indiana, the first time these two teams have ever matched up. An interesting storyline here, Brett.
What's that?
Kalen DeBoer used to coach at Indiana.
Okay.
And obviously, Kirk Cignetti was under Nick Saban at Alabama. So you got two coaches that used to be at the other school, and they're battling up against each other. Also, in your free time, look up a picture of Kalen DeBoer in Indiana.
Okay.
I don't know what I guess
like he was playing or coaching?
No, when he was coaching.
Okay.
And it was only like in 2019, 2020. He looks like a Ken doll. He's got like this.
Was this before he was at Washington?
Blonde hair. Yeah. He's got this just
bleach blonde hair.
Bleach blonde hair.
Wow.
It's anyway. This is going to be the most popular game of the weekend. Alabama, Indiana, the Rose Bowl, a great environment, a great background for college football to be played on. I like Indiana at the number at 6.5, and I think Indiana is going to, instill their will here. Alabama is really not that good of a team right now. They have not played their best football in the last month of the season. And if there were one team that they could get by in the college football playoff, it would have been Oklahoma. If Oklahoma and Alabama hadn't played each other, I would have faded both of them in the first round. They both wouldn't have won. I think Alabama is a good but not great team at this point in the season. Their offense still cannot run the ball, only 28 yards against Oklahoma. Indiana's defense has guys at all three levels, maybe not to the level of Oklahoma defensively, but they're still very strong there. And they don't have a John Mateer at quarterback. They've got Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner. Omar Cooper back at full speed as well. He's the guy who had that toe tap touchdown against Penn State. He's going to be full health. Match him next to Elijah Surratt. You got your two best wide receivers back in this one too. So I like.
So you think this is the biggest blowout of all the games? Well, not, I mean,
most
comfortable.
I think out of the, well, I could see it in this next one too, but
okay.
I think Indiana doesn't have an issue here for the second half. I feel like they've got a 2-touchdown lead. I think Alabama's good, but I don't think they're great. And they haven't been great over the last month. 5 games of the season. And maybe they're like Ohio State last year, where they just turn things around, they get a win, and then boom, they go on a crash course. But I don't know what you've seen from Alabama over the last 5 games that tells you this is going to be a group that's going to be multidimensional offensively, is going to make a ton of big plays in the ground game. They don't have a running game. Can't be that. Like, you can be one-dimensional up against a team like Oklahoma, who's equally as one-dimensional. But as you go through the rest of this field, you can't have a huge liability in your offensive attack. Like, Indiana doesn't have a liability. None of these teams do. There's not a huge liability for any of these teams. Alabama, I think, has the biggest liability, and that's running the football. So I like Indiana here pretty comfortably.
Yeah, this one's hard. You wonder if momentum's a thing, and did Alabama gain that by beating out Oklahoma, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, however you feel about it. And if you want to say Oklahoma had a big hand in that, you're good with that too. But I just wonder, their skill positions are there, and I said it last time, and they haven't been able to run the ball at all season, and they still won 11 games against that schedule. They were as good as anybody through that 4-game stretch when they played us, So, they're going to have far superior athletes on that field than Indiana. And, this feels like a low-scoring game. I think both defenses are really good. I don't know if either team's going to be able to run the ball that successfully against each other. So, and things like that. I think Indiana wins, but not by that number, I don't think. I think it's that, field goal game, honestly. I think DeBoer's big game experience as well, being there with Washington, is going to be a factor as well. So I think this game's going to be close. I think all these games are going to be close. I can't say significantly over one over the other right now. And I like Alabama to keep this one close, but I think Indiana wins.
All right, we'll move to the Sugar Bowl. Number 6, Ole Miss, without Lane Kiffin. A rematch against number 3 Georgia. This one is in New Orleans. I wonder if Lane Kiffin will show up for a quarter in this one.
You know he will.
I was not impressed with Ole Miss's defense in the last outing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is an issue moving forward. I think Georgia's playing good football right now, but I do think Ole Miss's offense is going to be able to keep it neck and neck with them. So I like Georgia to win, but I think Ole Miss is able to have enough offensive staying power to keep it close. Now, if Kewan Lacey is not 100%, then I like Georgia to win by more than a score.
Okay.
Kewan Lacey, it has
It's a shoulder, right?
It's his shoulder, yeah. And he came back against Tulane, went 5 carries, 20 yards, but got banged up again and left the rest of the way. Maybe it was precautionary, but he looked like he was in pain. If he's not able to go at full strength, I think Diggs is fine. Their backup, he's fine, but not a guy that is going to be a difference maker like a Kewan Lacey. So I lean Georgia here. I think Ole Miss keeps it close though.
Yeah, I mean, the last time these two teams played in Athens, it was an unbelievable game. Ole Miss was going up and down the field, left and right, and then the fourth quarter hit, and Kirby flipped a switch, and I think his team's flipped a switch. I really think Georgia's playing as good as anybody in the country right now, and even if Kewan Lacey plays, how healthy is he? One hit and you're done, type of thing. I think Georgia's just they flipped a switch this season, and I think this is going to be the most comfortable victory out of any of the teams this weekend with Georgia.
There you go. All right, well, that's our college football playoff quarterfinal preview. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow as well when we're at Tennessee Tap House for the official fan run watch party for the Music City Bowl. Make sure to come out and join us. Now, when we return, we'll talk a little NFL playoff action as we head into Week 18, a couple of games of importance as we try to finalize this playoff slate. Stay right here. It's the Playbook presented by VIP Play on Fan Run Radio.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
At Knoxville Insurance Group, they understand the challenges many consumers face when searching for insurance coverage. That's why whether it's for you, your family, or your business, they create a coverage plan specifically for your unique needs. Knoxville Insurance Group is an independent firm, which means they aren't beholden to just one insurance company. They search multiple companies, acting as your negotiator to find you the best possible policy and price. Start a quote in minutes at KnoxvilleInsuranceGroup.com or call them today at 865-694-9788.
Hey, football fans, this is Stats.
And this is the Sheik. And together we are the Cover Boys, and we cover college football like no one else.
Each week, we preview all the big games in college football, and we may not tell you who's going to win, but we'll tell you who's going to cover.
Our patented right sides are clicking at 66% against the spread all time.
So join us right here every Friday evening at 8 for the Cover Boys on the official voice of Tennessee fans, Fan Run Radio.
And enjoy the winners, everyone.
Never found out why you left him, but this answer begs that question. Too blind to see tomorrow.
All right, final thoughts on a Monday here in K-Town. We appreciate you hanging out with us, as we always do. This time of year, you show your gratefulness and appreciation to those, and we appreciate all of you who listen and support the station as well as the show from 1 to 3 here on Fan Run Radio. Coming up next, it's The Drive. Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith rounding out your Monday, getting you ready for the Music City Bowl showdown between Tennessee and Illinois tomorrow. And we will do so as well on site from 1 to 3. We'll follow up Tony B and company as they kick things off at 11 a.m. It'll be us, and it'll be The Drive leading you into kickoff. It'll be the drive to the kickoff, you could say, tomorrow at Tennessee Tap House. Looking forward to seeing everyone out there. Real quick as we wrap things up, final thoughts today. The NFL postseason stretch is fully underway. The final 2 playoff spots will likely come down to a pair of Week 18 elimination games between division rivals in the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens, their heart is still pumping. They get a big win over the Green Bay Packers on Saturday.
Derrick Henry. Ooh.
And they're still alive. The Steelers lose to Shador and the Browns. Put it up. I wish I meant on today. I could do it a little bit better. And then you'll also get a matchup between Tampa Bay and Carolina. That one has some importance as well, even though Carolina has a couple of tiebreakers already instilled there. But as it currently shapes out, AFC looks like this. Number 1 seed New England, 2 Denver, 3 Jacksonville, the small market team from Duval County, Florida. 4 will be either Pittsburgh or Baltimore, the winner of that division. And then 5, you got Houston, Buffalo, and Los Angeles, the Chargers, rounding out the wild card. Now, if Jacksonville loses to the Titans, Houston would take that spot.
If the Texans win.
If the Texans win as well. And they got to beat the Colts. But right now, if everything shapes out the way it currently looks, it'll be New England, Denver, Jacksonville, winner of Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston, Buffalo, Los Angeles.
Right now, according to ESPN, Denver's the 1 seed based on tiebreaker over New England. Or wins tiebreak over New England based on best win percentage in common games.
Did I read that wrong then?
Denver, New England, Jacksonville are 1, 2, 3. Pittsburgh right now sitting at 4, Houston 5, Chargers 6, Buffalo 7.
Okay.
Is what I'm seeing right on ESPN.
Okay, I guess I had the errors and omissions, and I apologize. What do you have for NFC then? You have Seattle at 1?
Yeah, Seattle, Chicago.
Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, Carolina.
Yeah, 49ers 5, Rams 6,
Okay.
Packers 7.
Okay, so I guess I just had Denver and New England messed up there.
But some of these, like San Fran, Seattle, the division can be decided, right?
Correct.
And, I guess, are the Chargers in there? No, the Chargers aren't.
Chargers are at 7 right now on the AFC
They can't
list.
win. The West, AFC West is settled.
No.
What am I looking at here?
Are you talking about
NFC North?
Rams?
Maybe the Rams. Yeah, the Rams can they win the division too? I don't even know. There's so many moving parts.
No, Tampa Bay and Carolina would both play, but Tampa Bay has to have a couple of things go their way. Tampa Bay has been an incredible collapse in the second half of the season.
NFC South is just, gosh.
Right now, when you look at these teams, though,
yeah.
AFC, who do you like? NFC, who do you like?
Man, that's tough. I know it's the Jets, but the way Drake May played yesterday, if they got to go through New England and Drake May, that's tough. I think I lean the Pats, and say we want about the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. Until you beat them, run game and defense wins this with Saquon. I don't even think they completed the pass second half of one in Buffalo. Tough weather. I think I like Philadelphia and the Pats right now. How about you?
What's important about the NFC, and it is important for the AFC as well, like with New England and Denver, but like Philadelphia getting a home field advantage, at least temporarily in that first round. And then the two teams being Seattle and Chicago at the top. Chicago is going to be freezing cold. If any of these, teams like the Los Angeles Rams getting the first overall seed would have been huge because all those games were playing on neutral site field. And for Matthew Stafford, he wouldn't have to play a game outside the rest of the way. Remember last year?
But he played unbelievable in that snow.
I know he did, but how is that sustainable, right?
Yeah. For
the AFC, New England and Denver. I think Denver is the toughest place to go play. The only game
but you don't like Bo Nix. Like Bo Nix doesn't scare you. Like Sam Darnold, the one seed in the NFC, doesn't scare you.
I don't, and that's why I think this is wide open. I think it's wide open.
Wide open, okay.
I think this whole thing is wide open because even Buffalo, the team with the best quarterback, probably has the worst roster out of every team in the league or out of every team in the playoffs right now.
All right, out of those key matchups we got for the last playoff spots, Steelers or Ravens or in the AFC, which one would scare you more as an AFC? Like right now, like they would play the Texans. Would you be more afraid of a Steelers team or a Ravens team?
I'd be more afraid of Baltimore.
Okay.
I think the Steelers are limited in how high they can go.
Okay.
If Lamar plays, you've got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson you got to go up against in a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers getting rolled out of the AARP room doesn't scare me a whole lot. I know he can throw the football still, but man, if you put some pressure on him in cold weather, those bones will break.
Yeah.
And Lamar's not fully healthy, and that plays into it too.
Well, people are talking about even if he's healthy, you play Huntley out there.
Pittsburgh's
at least
defense,
it forces him to give the ball to Henry.
Pittsburgh's defense is better, and it's worth adding that in there. Defenses play well and play a big role in the postseason. But I still look at quarterback as a bit like a game on the line. Do you trust Aaron Rodgers in 2025 or Lamar Jackson?
That is a tough question. if you're just talking about this year, neither one's played well. Lamar's not been very, very good either. He's almost been
I trust Lamar, though.
He can't throw.
I trust Lamar because he can get it done with his legs. He can get it done two ways.
That's why he's been out, though.
Aaron Rodgers, is not going anywhere. But no, game on the line, though, you got to get a score. I trust Lamar more because he can at least do something that the other literally cannot do. But it all sets up for a wide open opportunity.
We didn't even get to your Jags.
I know. Another big
very
win.
important that you win this weekend.
I
do
agree.
not want to go on the road.
I agree.
Pittsburgh or Baltimore.
I agree. Bring me Buffalo. Bring me Buffalo and Duval County.
Right now, it's the Chargers.
That's who I'd rather play. Right
now, it's the Chargers according to the standings.
It'd be
Buffalo's a 7 seed according to this.
Oh, really?
Buffalo would be going to.
We must
New
be
England.
looking at something different.
I'm on the ESPN standings page, playoffs bracket.
Okay.
So I don't know.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for a Monday edition of the Playbook presented by VIP Play. Join us tomorrow, folks. Tennessee Tap House, the official fan-run watch party of the Music City Bowl. We'll be there broadcasting beginning at 1 o'clock. Coming up next, it's The Drive right here on Fan Run Radio.